Hello, everyone. Welcome to our member highlight for January 2024. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm super excited today to be joined by Linda, who is someone who we've been exercising with online for a while now. That's something that's really cool with the online membership that we have people like you and another Linda and Gail and Billy and multiple people who we've now been exercising with for over a year, seeing you guys regularly on Zoom, multiple times, sometimes each week over the long term. And it's really cool the kinds of friendships, that can be developed through the internet. And you're someone who, I just can't believe I don't see you more often in person because it feels like we spend more time together.
I
But
know that's weird and it's special. I consider my classmates my friends at Rogue, so
yeah,
it's really neat to see them.
Yeah, it's so cool. So yeah, we have been working out with you for a while and gotten to know you well. And we've also heard some really cool things from you kind of about your experience over time. So we thought it would be great to highlight you and your accomplishments and learn a little bit more about you. So if you could share a little bit more about your background, maybe where you live and kind of when you were diagnosed and, maybe what led you to see a neurologist and things like that. So we get a little bit of background info.
Okay. As Claire said, my name's Linda Moffett, and I live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, south central part of Pennsylvania. A lot of farmland, and it's just a very pretty place to live. Um, I worked as an editor for my career, something I really, really enjoyed, and raised three kids that are grown, and most have kids of their own. Um, I was diagnosed in on September 19th, 2017. And it's just interesting to me when I was listening back at some of the other Rogue members sharing, almost everybody gave a specific date. Didn't just say 2015 or, everyone seemed to have an exact date because think it's a pretty monumental thing to hear. That you have Parkinson's disease, you might be scared, or I was actually slightly relieved because I thought it could have been something worse. I called my daughters on the way home from the neurologist's office, and they both cried, which kind of made me think again of the seriousness of the diagnosis. What prompted me to go was being a writer and an editor. I took a lot of notes. Um, Writing was really, really important, was and is important to me. And my handwriting was weirdly small, and I'd write something down, I'd take notes, and then I couldn't read what I wrote. And I thought, that's kind of strange. And then when I was walking, my right foot would sometimes drag a little. So I went to see a neurologist and a movement disorder specialist. And after a short amount of time, it didn't take him very long. He said, "You have Parkinson's." So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. I think you're right. A lot of people do know the specific date, and it's definitely a day that your life changes, and maybe you don't even know exactly what that means. And I think anything that's life changing, there's positives and negatives. Um,
Yes.
yeah, and context is so important too. Yeah, thinking we have multiple people who've thought that it could be something potentially worse than what Parkinson's is, and they're somewhat relieved. But then also, how you get the opportunity to kind of respond to the diagnosis is different than how other people do. And you may not know, may even be surprised sometimes that someone has a stronger reaction or a different reaction than you might expect them to. And, some people just have never had much experience, knowing someone who had Parkinson's. Or some people have experience, but it could be a very like an individual experience. One person at one point in their life they met who had Parkinson's. And so all they know is kind of that little snapshot too, not kind of the big picture. And that, that's what we're here to do is change what it means to be diagnosed with Parkinson's and how you can live with Parkinson's, and that it maybe can be not quite as impactful to your life as it previously has been. So yeah, hopefully your daughters kind of see how you have faced this though too, and are maybe even more inspired by you than they were before in terms of how you've, taken this on and how you take care of yourself and, how strong you're able to be with it.
Yeah, they always say, Mom, we're so proud of you. We, see all these changes. And, um, then I'm disciplined about exercise. And they just say, way to go, Mom, way to go. So that's kind of fun to feel like you are impressing your 30-something-year-old
Yeah,
daughters.
totally. And, leading by example with healthy behaviors. I think, fitting in workouts and eating healthy and everything is hard for most people. Like we're busy and fitting in exercise in our life takes concerted effort and eating healthy takes more thought and planning and organization. So, I think that's something that you can do too is really lead by example and show. And with your kids, maybe being inspired to, really have those healthy behaviors too, that helps the next generation, be healthier as well and maybe reduces their risk, of Parkinson's or all the other things that can happen to us in our lifetime.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
But I learned about Rogue. So I had been exercising at a local gym, a um, a boxing, um, rock steady boxing, and somebody there had mentioned PD camp at Bastyr, and I was very interested, and I looked into it, and I got to go pretty early on. And when I was there, you were there, and you were one of the people offering exercise sessions, and so that was very interesting to me. So I'm trying to think that would have been in August, and I'm wondering if that was the August before the pandemic.
Like
So
whether
that
it's
was,
18 or 19.
I don't remember. If it was a full year after I was diagnosed or not, but shortly after when the pandemic started, our local gym was not an option. And I joined Rogue. And I think, Claire, the first few exercise sessions, were they done from your living room at home?
Yeah. I think for a couple
So,
months it was from my
yeah.
home. Yeah.
Okay. So I joined then, and it just became such a really important lifeline, not just because of the pandemic, but because it really felt like it was a game changer. And there was this whole community of people who were like minded and optimistic and taking charge of their health. And it's just really been incredible. I'm thankful every day for Rogue. It's, I mean, I I've lost weight. I feel more energetic. My shoulder, which I did not realize. So until you're part of a Parkinson's community, you don't even realize what might be typical for Parkinson's or not. But my right shoulder was always kind of sore and hard to sleep at night. And I guess that might be more like a frozen shoulder that people are calling it. And since I've been part of exercising, no, that's not been an issue. I'm able to turn over better in bed, um, sitting on the floor. It's no trouble getting back up. There's just been a lot of things that have just changed. I had bad plantar fasciitis on my right side, which is my more affected side, my right foot, and I went to physical therapy for it. Nothing, but being steady with Rogue, that's been gone. So in some weird ways, I'm healthier with the Parkinson's was when maybe I, not when I didn't have it, but before
Yeah,
I was
we
diagnosed.
we hear that from a lot of people actually. When you make those healthy lifestyle changes, it makes a huge difference and it's total I do believe it's possible to be healthier while living with a chronic disease than have no diagnosis but not be healthy. Like there may be no diagnosis but to have aches and pains and not be eating healthy, not be exercising. I think that's totally something that can be true even though it's seems like it shouldn't be possible.
Yeah, and I've loved even just the things that are not exercise related, like the plant-based cooking classes. That's been a game changer. It's been fun to talk to the other people. It's been really important to know, what is a good product, what isn't a product, how people are, using kale, what people are doing with beans, all of that that's been that's been pretty amazing. I feel like that's really changed our lives. My husband's just all in on that. So, and it's interesting because that's been an interesting journey. At first, maybe you have company over or your in-laws or all, and you make something for you and something for them with meat. And then after a while, you go, this stuff with meat is so much better anyway. And why don't I want them to be healthy? And so you kind of, at least for me, become totally plant-based and, just realize how good it makes you feel. So that's been really great. And the speech classes have been pretty terrific. I had a speech evaluation done, a swallow test done locally, and the speech pathologist said, "You're not talking like someone with Parkinson's." I wouldn't have guessed. And I think that's because I probably had at least 2 years of speech with Stephanie leading up to my appointment. So that's been pretty great. And I think the principles in each of the classes that I take, I mean, I love to listen to the lectures and the people you have in and the advice of the therapists when we're exercising and in speech and in cooking. And there's this thread of intentionality, being intentional. And so, like, even if I'm getting dressed and I'm standing up and I'm getting ready to put on my pants and my feet are too close together, I think, this is not a really steady base, Linda. You better get those feet apart a little before you pick up one of them to put them in your pant leg. So it's just kind of where I'm starting to write. And that's been the saddest thing for me, my handwriting. But if I stop and I think, okay, be intentional, go slower, be intentional, write those letters large. So it's really gone across the board in many parts of my life.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And I do think kind of the mantra or thinking that you're going to include intent into everything you do, like to me, that's a really positive thing. Like, living your life the way you want to live and being intentional about things. It's not like it's a negative to have to
Mm-mm.
say, like, I do have to pay a little more attention to some things, but when I do pay attention, it's so great and it's better than it would be if I wasn't. So it's worth kind of spending that extra time on it.
And I think not to beat ourselves up. Okay, so, maybe you have balance issues when you have Parkinson's, but my neighbor was walking her dog and fell and broke her foot right in front of my house the other day. And she doesn't have Parkinson's and she's very healthy. And my husband did a face plant and he's a really healthy guy and active. And so, um, yeah, some things maybe because we have Parkinson's and some things maybe not.
Yeah. We took a course and, it was mostly probably people in their 20s through maybe 50s or 60s, a course for physical therapists. And at the beginning, they asked who's had a fall in the past year. And 70% of us had had a fall in the past year, but it's just like nobody had a serious injury. And I think it's that like falls are something that are kind of a normal part of life if you're out and about and doing things. But what matters the most is if you have an injury and then how you're able to recover from that injury. So if you're able to exercise, and you're keeping your muscles strong and your bones strong, you're less likely to have an injury when you have a fall, and then it's not as big of a deal. Or even we have had people who've had maybe a serious injury when they've had a fall, but when they've been exercising a lot before, they're so much stronger going into it and they're able to recover much better because that's kind of there's some stats with older adults that with an injury, recovery just doesn't happen as easily or as well. So it's just exercise helps all along the spectrum, whether it's preventing something from happening, making it less consequential if it does happen, or being able to recover better as well. So exercise is supportive no matter what. In terms of our online exercise classes, which of the classes do you do?
I do cardio as often as I can. That was one that kind of scared me a little bit because I don't enjoy getting sweaty and hot and out of breath. But when you all have shared the research on how really game changing that is, and also, Claire, something you said one time is that you don't always enjoy exercise. That it's something you kind of make yourself do. And then I thought, okay, maybe I'm no different really than anybody else. You know, this isn't always easy to do, or it's not something I look forward to, but I can do it and it's important to do it. So that's really changed my mind a lot about cardio. I recognizing how important it is, and it and the instructors do kind of make it fun. So that's been nice. So I cardio I try to make a big effort to go to. I do power moves the most. I enjoy that one. Um, I've done the what's it called with the weights?
The functional strength class.
Yes, I've tried to do the functional strength class when that fits in my schedule too. And I want to in the new year try boxing. Um, I don't like boxing. I do not like boxing. But Billy was saying, it challenges me and I need the mental challenge and, I need the cardio. And, I kind of thought, Billy and Terry, they're inspiring women. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to give it another shot. In the new year, I want to try boxing more.
I love it. And that's what I think it is. Like, I don't want anyone to feel like they have to force themselves to do something that they hate. That's not what we're about. But I do think, trying things and then being aware of maybe why you don't like it. And it's so natural for us as humans to not like things that maybe we're not naturally good at, or it's more challenging in different ways. And so boxing is one that is more cognitively challenging. Like we're learning those combinations and then following through and doing them. And it's very different. Like, a lot of us may not have done that type of workout or ever, wanted to ever have to get in a fight with someone or anything. So, but I do think it's a really good workout that is unique and different than the other ones. So I definitely think it's good to try and, give it a bit of time. And then, but if it is something where you're like, I don't love it, I like the other ones better, you know that you're still getting what you need with the other classes too. It's not like there's something in boxing that you can't get from any other type of workout. It
That's
is a
true.
good
And
variety.
what you guys always say about pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, often that's where change occurs. And so I thought, all right, I'm going to give it another shot. So,
Yeah, awesome. And you have shared a couple times throughout the year too, where not only you have noticed things, but some other people have noticed things like your healthcare professionals or people that you've been working with. Could you share kind of what things
sure.
people have
Well,
shared with you?
the last time I saw the neurologist was just a couple months ago. And, my sit down and my hand tests and all the ones that they make you do, she said, I think you're better than you were last year. So that was pretty neat. And Dr. Mishley says my pro PD score has stayed even or actually decreased over 7 years. So that's been really neat. But the one that really interested me was I've seen the same uh, therapeutic massage therapist for, I bet you, a dozen years. And I've seen her probably twice a month. So, probably twice a month for 12 years. And a couple visits ago, she said, Linda, I'm just noticed your muscles feel so much better toned. Your body seems to be getting younger. I was like, whoa. So she says, I haven't said that to many people. So that was kind of surprising, but it was kind of really neat to know that exercise is making a difference. So that was good to hear.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think like one of our questions is what motivates you to exercise? And I feel like you've already kind of said hearing about the research is one thing that is motivating. And then I would guess that maybe also getting kind of positive feedback from people like that, where they can tell a difference in your body. For me too, like when you actually experience change yourself or someone notices it about you, that is also motivating. Like, okay, this is actually doing something. I'm not just spending all this time doing something that I don't really feel like doing without getting, something as a benefit from that.
And just seeing the people that I'm used to exercising with. I mean, again, Terry and Billy and Gail, and seeing people working hard, and they're doing it, and I can do it too. I mean, I think of Sandra, and um, yeah, I'm really motivated in a live class.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I always kind of joke that I feel like I could cheat during a video, but in a live class, there's a certain, camaraderie and sense of pride that, you don't want to cheat, or at least I don't want to cheat. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah,
fun.
I totally think that's true. It is different, even though like the workout could be the exact same thing, but doing it live with other people has a different feeling.
Hmm. And there's a writer that I really love. Her name is Anne Lamott. She's kind of a feisty kind of person, but she talks about discipline being freedom. And, if I want the freedom to be able to move and to do well and to do things longer, that's going to require some discipline. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. And if I start to feel sorry for myself, she also said something like, we're all on the same bus. We're all terminal on this bus. And that may sound kind of like depressing to some people, but it isn't to me. I mean, I don't need to be, I don't want to think I've been singled out because I haven't. We all have, everyone is going to have or has had issues. And, right now, this is mine and that's okay. And I'm not going
Yeah.
to go down without a fight. And I feel hopeful. And I think that's been the biggest gift from Rogue and from PD school is that I have a sense of hope where there wasn't hope originally. And so that's a pretty precious thing.
Yeah, that's amazing. So great to hear that. So if you had any words of wisdom or encouragement for other people with Parkinson's, is there anything that you'd say to all of them?
Well, it's not a death sentence. It's not, it's kind of like a chance to kind of, I think, decide what's really important for you and decide, um, how you want to live your life. And, our histories aren't written. Our nothing's cast in stone. And I am so encouraged and hopeful about the information and the research on exercise and diet. And I just really believe some of this is in our own hands. And so, dig in your heels and, you know, enjoy the friendships. And, in some ways, I don't want to sound, like I'm being glib or something, but in my life, Parkinson's has been a little bit of a gift because I've met some pretty darn cool people and it's changed my life in many good ways. And yeah, I just feel like maybe I'm a different person. Like Michael Fox says, he just feels like it was a game changer for him. And so um, I just really would encourage people to stay involved in Rogue. And if you're not part of Rogue, to be involved. It's really life changing. I'll just mention one thing. It was interesting. So this past weekend, I was with my children and grandchildren. We were at this light display, and it's kind of in a little bit of a mountainous area. And you got off, and you had to walk on these gravel paths in a forest, and there were all lights. I don't know, 500,000 lights or some such things. And a couple of the hills were kind of big to hike up, and some of my 30 somethings were and I went up the hill. No, no, I'm not superwoman at all. And, was I out of breath on some of them? Maybe a little. But, I kind of hit those hills and I didn't think anything of them. And I thought, oh, okay, all the times Julia has forced me to, or Jamie or Maddie has forced me to do the inclines on my treadmill is paying off because it wasn't hard.
Oh, I love it. That is a perfect way to end, Linda. It's so great to hear that because that is, we're not exercising just to exercise. We're exercising for brain health, but exercising to be able to do the things in your life that you want to be able to do. So that is just a perfect example. Thank you. This video was so awesome. I feel like I learned. It was super inspiring and it's just great to get to know you better. So thank you again for coming on today. And I know a lot of our members will love seeing this and will find it very inspiring as well.
And thank you for all you do and all the staff does. You guys are just really special people. So thank you.
Thank you. You are welcome, and we're happy to get to be here. All right. Well, thanks again, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.